It's 1 o'clock. Welcome. Welcome back. Title of today's little get-together is Hello, Sunshine. If you haven't taken a look outdoors, you might give that a try because it's really, really gorgeous out there. And when that happens, very often the phone rings. The phone starts ringing when it starts to get warm and sunny and people think about spring and selling their homes. But more on that in a minute. I want to take a moment, first of all, to encourage you all who are thinking about it to sign up for the Charity Golf Classic that we do every year. It's really a lot of fun. And so I hope that you will take a moment and go to the website or your email, which has invited you to sign up for the Charity Golf Classic, and do it. It's we want as many agents out there as possible. It's for a great cause, the Safe Harbor community, and so sign up, come play. If you golf, by the way, anywhere near me, I would recommend some sort of helmet, just out of a sense of precaution. But it's a lot of fun, so please do. Couple of things. Negotiating commissions on the purchase agreement. That's no. It simply is not. There's two reasons. One is most multiple listing systems will not allow it, and number two, it makes us a party to the contract. It makes Five Star and potentially a listing agent the party to a contract. If you negotiate a commission on the purchase agreement, which includes an addendum, because an addendum is an integral part of the purchase agreement, but it's between the buyers and the sellers. It's not between the agents. It's not between the brokers. So I caution you, the reason I caution is this. A broker could come back after the closing. If you've negotiated a commission on the purchase agreement, they could come back, the other broker could come back and say, we felt as though we were under duress. We wanted to do what was right for our client and get the deal closed, and now we're going to file a grievance and get the commission we were offered in the co-brokerage agreement, and very often, most times, they will win. So be very careful that you negotiate between the brokers off the purchase agreement if you're going to reduce your commission, and that commission is going to be used as the seller giving a concession to the buyer, for example, in closing costs. Whenever you're negotiating commission, keep it off the purchase agreement. Make it a negotiated item between the two brokers. You can do it either in a You can do it either in a document signed by the brokers and agents in a Word document, and then they can all agree to it, or you can do it on a listing contract amendment, again, that has to be signed by at least both brokers, and then deal with it as a seller's contribution on the purchase agreement. If you have questions, drop them in there. We'll see if we can clarify that if you need it. Over the course of the next couple of weeks, we hope to be able to provide you more clarification on teams and team structure, and the role of team members, and things like signage and how your information is provided to the public out there. on websites, Facebook sites, and so on. Watch for that. It's going to be important, and we may find that some agents may need to make some revisions in what they're doing. So, back to sunshine and warm weather. It's almost, if you haven't noticed it yet, you might this week, as the weather is in the 70s and so on. Great golf weather, great bicycling weather. I'll probably be hitting the bicycle at some point this afternoon. But people see that sunshine and they do make the call. They start saying, it's time to think about getting the house on the market. In just a couple of weeks, we're going to see the blooms, the apple blossoms are going to come out. We're going to see, we've already seen daffodils start popping through the ground. So people are now, this week, they are going to definitely be in having spring fever. So get out there and make some contacts. You're going to probably find people more receptive than they've been in this long, lingering winter that we've had. I was talking to one of our agents, Jeff Nichols, and I said, Jeff, what do you want to hear today on the live stream? And he said, I'd like to hear more about objection handling, particularly as it relates to commission. And I said, that's not bad. That's pretty good. I mean, for Jeff, it's great. Just, hi, Jeff. You can get me later. Anyway, but when you're faced with going out on a listing, especially when there's not a lot of listing inventory out there, and you want that listing because there are 5 other agents who want that listing for the same reason you do. There's not a lot of listings out there, but those listings that are out there are generally going to sell unless they're in horrible condition, terrible locations, and they're overpriced. All 3. Takes all 3. Only one of those is still probably going to sell. So I went back to and I said, I just a couple of weeks ago presented objection handling techniques in the process for objection handling techniques, which for me is what I call cushion it, clarify, ask for a fair trade, present your case, and then close. And we talked about that, but I'm going to be more specific as it regards commissions, and it may be helpful to you. I'm also going to encourage you. I understand that a recent version or a recent edition of the Flying Tigers, John Tenz's Flying Tigers, was nearby in town, and the agents who've gone to that have praised it. Everything I've heard about it is great. Ninja is great. There are Tom Ferry programs out there. Anytime you get an opportunity to take one of these courses from these top trainers, I encourage you to do it. I've been through at least 6 of them, and I've always come away with some additional piece of knowledge that has helped me in my career. So I'm going to use my objection handling technique, which is as it regards commission. You get the question, will you cut your commission? And my answer is generally no. Any other questions? Now, that may work because sometimes just saying no is enough. Sometimes people feel as though they were just going to try, they were just going to ask, they were going to give it a shot. And when you simply say no confidently, as if, why would you ask me such a thing? Does your doctor reduce his or her commission? Does your attorney or your CPA? Does the dry cleaner agree to starch your shirts for less money if you say, would you do these for less than what you charge the other people? They usually will say, no. Why would you ask that? Anyway, sometimes people are going to push it. They're going to press you. Well, I can get a certain level of commission over here at a different agent. You're one of your competing agents, and then you might have to go through the objection handling technique, which for me is cushion it. So if I'm understanding you correctly, your concern is about what I'm charging you or what you're being asked to pay for in terms of commission. Am I right with that? I mean, I can appreciate how you feel, but I just want to make sure that that's in fact what we're talking about. Then you offer them a fair trade. I mean, I did actually both in those. I acknowledged that I understood what they were asking and why, but also that the issue that they were concerned with was the commission. I may take it a step further and say, is it, again, just so I want to make sure I'm clear here, but is it about the amount of money you're going to pay in commission, or is it about the amount of money that you're going to get in your pocket at the end of it all, what you're going to be left with in order to buy your next home? Is it one of those or both of those? Help me understand. Because there's a difference in their answer. There's very often a difference in their answer. Some of them simply have a feeling that they don't want to pay a certain level of commission. They want to get a discount. They want to pay less money. That's really their principle. Others are going to say, if you get me a certain level of money, I don't care what you charge me. Obviously I don't want to leave money on the table, but it's really more about how it impacts me at the closing table that's going to make a difference. The reason I ask those questions is because then I'm going to say to them, if I can show you without a shadow of a doubt that paying the commission that I charge is going to benefit you in the long run, would you even think about changing your mind and choosing the realtor who's going to get you the greatest exposure versus someone who's going to get you less money? Would you even consider my commission as opposed to the other ones? If they say no, well, then you've got a business decision to make. And the business decision is very simple. Do I cut my commission to what they want, or do I walk away from the listing? I don't encourage anybody in this market to walk away from a listing. But I also encourage agents to get what they're worth in their commission. And I think you can do both. I think you can get people to sign up with you to list the property with you and still get paid a commission that is ultimately going to be profitable for you. So what I ask them is very simple. If one commission structure gets you twice or 3 times or even 10 times the amount of exposure, do you think you have a better chance of getting a higher offer, more competition, and maybe even a price above the asking price as a person who charges you a smaller commission but offers you no marketing? Now, a really good example of that is looking at brokers who offer the reduced or the limited service agreements, where they basically charge nothing to put it on the MLS, and then they walk away, give no service whatsoever. The buyer's agent has to do all of the negotiating, and ultimately, they might charge $500 or $1,000 or $750 or whatever it is, but the seller ends up feeling as though they weren't represented, and they're 100% right. They're not represented at all. So I encourage you to say, what I do is worth a higher commission, because here are the things I'm going to do. And if you don't have a marketing plan, you can't make the story for them. You can't present something that you don't do. But I'm going to create a video for you, professional video. I'm going to make sure that gets maximum exposure, tens of thousands of exposures on Facebook for you. So anyone in the marketplace in the Grand Rapids area who's looking for a property like yours is going to be aware of it. They're going to see the inside of it. They're going to be, it's going to be presented in a professional way that is going to compel them to want to see the property. In addition to that, I'm going to schedule an open house, and I'm going to heavily promote that open house on Facebook and every other form of social media. You've got to present your marketing plan and show the added value that you have over another agent if you hope to get paid a commission that is worth what you feel you're worth. After I've presented my marketing plan to a prospect, I look at them and I say, that makes a difference, don't you think? And very often they'll say, yeah, I didn't know you were going to do all of that stuff to get our house promoted. And ultimately, when you agree, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, that the greater the exposure your home has, the greater the likelihood that you're going to get competitive offers from buyers, and those offers will be most likely at a higher price and better terms than if your house wasn't promoted at all. Would you agree with that or not? So ultimately, the 1% that you might feel you're saving, you could be actually costing yourself money. You could be leaving money on the table if in a competitive environment you got $8,000 more as a sales price. Again, working the numbers and percentages. If you're talking about a $300,000 house, you may get $12,000 or $15,000 more than you would if your house wasn't adequately marketed and promoted to potential buyers out there. I think you got to get really, really confident that you're worth something, and you're worth the commission that you charge. Anyone who has been in this business for any period of time recognizes that when you undercut yourself by cutting a commission, especially the one I see a lot is for sale by owners. They'll walk up to a for sale by owner and say, if I can bring you a buyer, would you pay me a half a commission? And very often they'll get the answer, yeah, sure, why not? And I'm thinking, wait a minute, you just offered someone to cut the commission 50%, and you're going to do 100% of the work now. You don't have a listing agent doing half of the work. It's going to be all on you. How did you better your situation? In my view, if you're going to go and pitch a for sale by owner, at least get something from them. I mean, whether your commission you charge, and I'm not making any suggestions, but whether your commission you charge to a buyer's agent or as a buyer's agent is 3%, and you get 1 or 1.5% from the seller as well, whatever that is, at least try to get something, because you're going to be doing all the work. And again, if you practice the objection handling process that you're going to use and get really good at it and confident, you'll find that you're going to be able to list properties at higher commission rates than you will if you're not good at it. If you fumble and you don't know what to say and you ultimately cave in and cut the commission, you may get the listing, but it's going to be a lot harder for you to make a living in the long run. So I encourage you, whoever is your guru, whether it's the Flying Tigers program with John Tenza, my guru, Floyd Wickman, Ninja, the Tom Ferry program, David Knox, whoever it is, right now is the time to get really, really, really good at handling objections, particularly as it relates to commission. Go to their programs, take their information, and get practiced at answering that objection, because you're going to get that objection right now this time of year, and right now is the best time to go out and get listings. So with that, we got any questions? No questions. All right. I'm just going to check, see if I got anything else. No. I'm going to go enjoy the sunshine. Go get a listing out there. I'll see you next week. Thanks.